Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Moving ahead, here is another question. So here what are they asking? Which of the following are in inverse proportion, that we have to tell. So one by one we will read the statements and we'll come to know whether they are in inverse proportion or not. Okay. So here the first part is the number of workers on a job and the time to complete the job. So this is inverse proportion or not? So number of workers on the job and the time. If I increase the number of workers, the time taken to complete the job is lesser, right? So inverse proportion. So first one is inverse. So we can just write inverse proportion. The first part of the question is inverse proportion. Second, the time taken for a journey and the distance traveled in a uniform speed. That means speed is same. So if more is the time, then more distance would be traveled. And if the time is less, then less distance would be traveled, right? Less distance, less time is taken. So this is a direct proportion case, right? This is direct proportion. Now in the third part, what do we have? Area of cultivated land and the crop harvested. Area of the cultivated land and the crop harvested. So if the area of the land is more, the cultivated or the crop harvested will be more. Definitely if the area of cultivation is more crops will be there to harvest. So this is also direct proportion. What is this? Direct proportion. Now, the fourth part of the question, it says the time taken for a fixed journey, that means distance is fixed, and speed. So suppose it is distance is fixed, the same distance is to be traveled. Then if the speed we increase, then less time we will require to cover that. And if the speed is less, then more time will be required. So time and speed are in inverse proportion. So what will be the answer of fourth? Inverse proportion. In the fifth part of the question, it is the population of a country and the area of land per person. So if the population is more, right, the land is fixed of the country, right? So they are saying land per person, area of land per person will decrease if the population is more. So this is also a case of inverse proportion. I hope the difference between inverse and direct is clear, and you can clearly and easily identify which condition which is given, which statement that is given here is in inverse proportion or a direct proportion case. Moving ahead, if you see here, this says in a television game show, the prize money of rupees 1 lakh is to be divided equally among the winners. Complete the following table and find whether the prize money given to an individual winner is directly or inversely proportional to the number of winners. So if the number of winners are more, suppose the number of winners are 5 and the prize money is 1 lakh only. So when we divide it, it becomes less, right? And when the number of winners is less, suppose there is only one winner, so 1 lakh would be given to that, right? So prize money is 1 lakh. Let it be one winner, two winner, four winner, any number of winners, and that will be divided equally. So when it is one winner, 1 lakh is given. If it is two winners, definitely 1 lakh will be divided into two of the winners, that is 50,000, 50,000. How do we do that? We are multiplying it with 2, but this would be divided by 2. Clear for this one? Now we can do that. 1 into 1 lakh is equal to 4 into, let us consider this as y1, y2, y3, y4 and y5, right? With the number that it is multiplied, this is going to get divided with that number. So 4 into y1 I write, so I'll divide it with 4, right? So dividing it with 4, y1 will be equal to, just see, 4 1s are 4 2s are 8, 4 5s are 20, then 0 0 0. So it will be 25,000, right? What we have done, 1 lakh is divided with 4, that gives us 25,000. Now 1 is multiplied with 5, this would be divided with 5. So when we divide it with 5, we get 5 2s are 10, just to see. So we will write it, we will use the same concept, that is 1 into 1 lakh equals 5 into y2. So y2 would be equal to 1 lakh divided by 5. 5 2s are 10, and then we have 1 2 3 2 3 4. So we have 20,000, right? 20,000. Now when it is 8, you have to divide this in the same way. You will write 1 lakh into 1, that is equal to 8 into y1. So you divide it by 8 then, right? That will give us y3. Similarly, y4 and y5 can be calculated. I hope this is clear. You just have to divide this 1 lakh rupees by 4, 5, 8, 10 and 20 to get the prize money that each winner will get, because the money is to be divided among the winners equally. Okay, now the next question. Here another question is there. They're saying Rahman is making a wheel using spoke. Okay, spokes he is using to make a wheel. He wants to fix equal spokes in such a way that the angles between any pair of consecutive spokes are equal. So spokes are what? There is a circular wheel, right? And those lines, the spokes are there that are attached in the wheel. So I'll just draw it out. It is something like this, like, okay, so these are the spokes. So what are they saying? That he wants to fix six equal spokes in such a way angle between any pair of consecutive are equal. So here are 5. Suppose this is the sixth one. So like this, he is going to make the wheel. Now help him by completing the table. The first one, number of spokes is 4. Then the angle is 90 degrees. How do we calculate? We know this complete angle is 360 degrees. Correct. Now how many we are making? The 4 spokes will be there, so it will be divided between 4 equal parts, so each part will have 90-degree angle. Now 6 spokes, we divided 360 with 6, that is 60 degrees. So using this, now we have to find. Now you see, when you increase the number of spokes, the angle will decrease definitely for each part. So it is inverse proportion case. Now 4 into 90 can be equated to 8 into, let's consider them as y1, y2 and y3. So can we calculate it? Definitely. So just see, 4 into 90, the first one we will write 4 into 90 is equal to 8 into y1. So 4 into 90 gives us 360. 360 will be divided by 8 in this case by 10, in this case by 12. So when we divide 360 by 8, so what we get? 8 ones are 8 fours are 32, 8 fives are, so it will be 45 degrees. Okay, and when it is 10, divide 360 by 10, we get 36 degrees. And when it is 12, 12 threes are 36, it is 30 degrees. Clear? So we have calculated and we have completed the table. Now they are saying, are the number of spokes and the angles formed between the pairs of consecutive spokes is in inverse proportion? Yes, definitely, because increasing the number of spokes decreases the angle between the consecutive spokes, right? The second is, we have to calculate the angle between a pair of consecutive spokes on a wheel with 15 spokes. That means instead of now, like we have calculated 8, 10 and 12, we have to calculate it for 15 also. So what we will do, 4 into 90, that is 36, divided by 15. So 360 would be divided by 15. 15 ones are 15 twos are 30, 6 is left, 15 fours are 60. So we get 24 degrees, the answer for this. Clear? These are very simple questions. I am discussing them orally. You need to write them properly. I have already told you the way to write the answers. So you will just use this one, like 4 into 90 degree is equal to 15 into y2, or just consider this as y4. So you can write y4 and can calculate y4, which is 24 degrees. Okay. Now the last one, how many spokes would be needed? What number of spokes we need if the angle between the consecutive spoke is 40 degrees? So 9 into 40 degrees is equal to, okay, 90. Okay, I'm writing it differently. It is 90 degrees into 4. So this would be equal to, now the number of spokes is given as here, instead of 15 in the second case, it is we have to calculate that. So we'll consider that as x, and the angle is given, that is 40 degrees. So 40 degrees. So what will be x equal to? 90 into 4 divided by 40. 4 ones are 10, 9s are. So we require, so the number of spokes is 9 for the angle to be 40 degrees. How many? 9. Is that clear? So this is how you are going to solve this question. Moving ahead, we have another question. It says, if a box of sweets is divided among 24 children, how many students are there? 24. So we will write children, that means number of children here, and number of sweets. So they are saying when there are 24 children, okay, and we have a box of sweet, so each student or each children is getting 5 sweets each. So each of them is getting 5 sweets. Now they are saying how many would each get if the number of children is reduced by 4. That means number of children is now 20. So we have to calculate this. Now you know when number of children are lesser, the box of sweets will have the same number of sweets that it has, and each student will get some more quantity of the sweets. So inverse proportion, 24 into 5 equals 20 into y1. 24 into 5 divided by 20 equals y1. 5 fours are 4 6 are. So each of the student will get, or the children will get 6 sweets each. Each of them will get 6 sweets when the number of children is 20 and the sweet box is same. Is that clear? So what we observe here is when number of children is lesser, the number of sweets each child is getting is more, right? So it is inverse proportion. Moving ahead, we have another question, and I hope everybody of you is going to do it easily. It says a farmer has enough food to feed 20 animals and his cattle for 6 days, right? He has some food, and that food can be given to number of animals. We will write how many, 20, and for how many days he can just feed them, 6 days. Now they are saying how long would the food last if there were 10 more animals. 10 more animals, that means there are 30 animals, so we have to calculate the number of days. So definitely when number of animals is more, the food will last for less number of days. So inverse proportion, so we'll multiply like this. Clear? So 20 into 6 upon 30 is equal to y1. 6 ones are 6 5s are 30, 5 ones are 5 4s are. So y1 is equal to 4. So what would be the answer? For 4 days he can feed them. Okay, or in 4 days the food will last if there are 30 animals instead of 20 animals. Clear? Moving ahead. Here is another good question. It says there is a contractor. He estimates that 3 persons could rewire Jaswinder's house in 4 days. Right? So we will write number of persons and the days or the time taken by them. So number of persons is 3 persons and they take 4 days to rewire the complete house. Now they are saying if he uses 4 persons instead of 3 is using 4 persons, how long will it take to complete the job? So how many, now number of persons are increased, so number of days would be less definitely. So inverse proportion, so we'll solve it like this. 3 into 4 upon 4. So y1 is coming out as 3. So instead of 4 days, now how many days would be used? 3 days to rewire the complete house by increasing one more candidate. Okay. Next question here, it is saying a batch of bottles were packed in 25 boxes. So I'll just write here boxes and here bottles. Okay. So 25 boxes and each box has 12 bottles. Okay, each box 12 bottles and 25 boxes. Now they are saying if the same batch is packed using 20 bottles instead of 12 bottles, 20 bottles in one. You know, when number of bottles in one pack are increased, so number of packing boxes would be lesser definitely. So that is going to be, we are considering that as x or x1. So we have to find how many boxes would be filled. We know it is inverse variation. So x1 into 20. So x1 would be 25 into 12 divided by 20. 5 5s are 5 4s are 20, 4 1s are 4 3s are 5 3s are 15. So how many boxes? Just 15 boxes we need if we adjust 20 bottles in one box. Okay, instead of 12 bottles. Okay. Next question. It is saying there is a factory and it requires 42 machines. So we'll write it requires 42 machines. So we'll write machines and the next thing that we'll write is days. So 42 machine it requires to produce a given article in how many days? 63 days. Now they are saying how many machines are required to produce the same number of articles, okay, in 54 days. So the time is 54, we have to calculate this. You know, when number of days is less, so more number of machines would be required to complete it. So inverse variation. So this we are going to use. Okay, so 42 into 63 upon 54 is equal to x1. Let us solve it. So cancelling it with 2, 2 2s are 4, 2 1s are 2. Then 2 2s are 4, 2 7s are 14, 3 7s are 21, 3 9s are 9 1s are 9 sevens are. So x1 is coming as 7 into 7 is 49. So 49 machines we require. How many machines? 49. If we want the same number of articles to be produced in 54 days, that means lesser time we want. Clear? Moving ahead. Here if you see there is another question. So if you understand it carefully, it's a really very easy question. It says a car takes 2 hours to reach its destination by traveling at the speed. So speed is given and time is given. So if speed is 60 kilometer, what is the speed? 60 kilometer per hour. So I'll write the unit here. Okay, if speed is 60 kilometer per hour, how much time does it take? 2 hours. Time is in hours. Okay, then they're saying if the speed is 80 kilometer per hour, how long will it take? Let the time taken be y1. We know when speed is increased, the time taken would be definitely lesser. So inverse variation. 60 into 2 is equal to 80 into y1. 60 into 2 upon 80 is equal to y1. Cancelling it, 2 1s are 2 4s are. We get 2 2s are 4, 2 3s are 6. So y1 is equal to 3 upon 2 hours. Right, 3 upon 2 hours means 1.5 hour. Instead of 2 hours, how much time will be taking? 1.5 hour would be taken by them. Is that clear? So when speed is increased, time taken would be definitely lesser. Okay, so we have another question now. It says 2 persons could fit new window in a house in 3 days. So let us just see. So here persons we will write how many? 2 persons, and days taken by them are 3. So if 2 persons are there, they take 3 days to fit the window in a house. Now new windows in the house. Now one of the person fell ill. That means there is only one person left. How long would the job take now? So instead of 3 days, how long will it take? Let's consider that as y1. So first part will be solved as 2 into 3 is equal to 1 into y1. Why I'm using this multiplication? Because if number of person is less, the number of days taken by the alone, that one person only has to do the work. So definitely the time taken will be more. So 2 3s are 6 equals y1. How many days will it take? Instead of 3, it will take 6 days now. Okay, now they are saying how many persons. So they are asking persons, let it be x1, would be needed to fit the windows in 1 day. That means number of days is 1. So for second part, we will solve 2 into 3 is equal to x1 into 1. Clear? In 1 day we want. So 6 equals x1. So how many persons? 6 persons are required if we want that to be done in 1 day only. Right? How many persons? 6 persons we require, because now they are saying that it should be completed in 1 day and all the windows should be there adjusted in the new houses. Okay, could fit in the new houses. So we need 6 persons for that. Okay, because 2 persons are taking 3 days. Right? For 6 persons will take 1 day. Clear? Moving ahead, we have this last question of the session today. It says a school has 8 periods of in a day, each of 45 minutes duration. Okay, so I'll just write it here. So we'll take number of periods and the time for each period. So if there are 8 periods, then 45 minutes is the duration for each period. Now they're saying if the school has 9 periods instead of 8, assuming the number of school hours to be the same, now we have to adjust 9 periods in the same time. So what time we can make each period of? So we can consider it by now when periods are more, the time for each period will be less. Inverse variation or inverse proportion, this is 8 into 45 is equal to 9 into y1. 8 into 45 divided by 9 equals y1. 9 ones are 9 fives are. So y1 comes out to be 40. So of 40 minutes now we have to make each lecture or each period. Clear? So I hope this concept is clear. Now you have a clear understanding about directly and inversely proportional cases. You can do real life examples. You can apply this in real life situation. Many teachers use it, right? So this is how we do it. Is that clear?